imagine if we hadn't listened to our intuition, those little tiny promptings that we're given, and you wonder to yourself, okay, is this my imagination or is this?
I'm so interested in that intuition. Just
Yeah.
like basically your intuition told you the next step and the next right step to do. Is that what you are saying here?
That is exactly it. So did it go from knowing what to do when I was homeless to, wow, you're going to get a 7-bedroom home? No, it didn't show that way. It was literally taking by the hand and baby stepping me along. And some of those baby steps required me to take very scary action. I was very adamant, if it was going to be, if I needed to be in a relationship with someone, it was not going to be a struggle. So first of all, what you would want to do is you would want to figure out what is your dream reality and make that very, very clear. What is your desired outcome? Our thoughts are radio frequency. I mean, that our thoughts are our creative power. And that's what we're constantly sending out to the universe. So if we don't know what we want, then heck, the universe is going to be pretty darn confused too. They may look.
It is actually a working tool,
but they often don't actually look into their very soul.
Yes, it's actually so easy to read the soul of people through the eyes. Nothing can be hidden.
No.
Just nothing can be hidden. Hello, beautiful souls. So here you are today with a beautiful, beautiful guest. Her name is Avalon Kisbey, and I got charmed by her voice, honestly, when I was scrolling one time in social media. And I went through her interesting channel, and she's a true channel as well. And I was just drawn to reach her out. And right now she's with us. So Avalon, could you let us know more about you? What you are currently interested in, what you are starting, what are your deep areas of study at the moment?
Oh, thank you so much, Yulia, for inviting me on here. It's such a privilege to have been invited. So very much seen as a tarot reader, but of course I'm so much more than that. Okay, so awakened as a child, came down here awakened with many gifts, and then I found through my teenage years and maybe my young adult years, a lot of those gifts I seem to put a lid on them and squish them down. And it wasn't until in my 40s I had a spontaneous Kundalini awakening where many of my gifts over the last number of years have been returned to me, and not just returned to me as they had been as a child, but more profoundly so. So more in tune. So as far as my studies and the things that I'm very interested in, yes, like I say, you will see me presenting tarot, but actually very involved in celestial energies. I haven't studied astrology, but I can feel the shifts of energies, when there's new moons, full moons, planetary alignments, you name it. I can feel it quite a bit in advance, and I can usually predict the type of energies that will come through at that period of time. I'm also a grid keeper. So I'm someone who has been called by my oversoul to visit certain areas of the world and at certain points in time to work in those particular areas. And that's definitely been something on my life path here as well. So as far as, what I'm really into, I'm into manifesting. Law of assumption is a huge one for me. Traveling when I'm asked to by spirit, and just being very in tune with the surrounding energies.
That's very interesting. So if we go to that manifestation,
yes,
you say that that's your real area of study today. So can you give us examples? What did you manifest in life? And do you have maybe a specific framework which you could share with us?
Yeah, I absolutely can. So, wow, I don't even know where to start because I have so many examples of manifestation in their extremes. For instance, it would have been a number of years ago where I was completely homeless. I had 2 little children, and I suppose I should give you a little bit of backstory. So I was raised in a very religious household. And my parents, when I was 15, they had picked somebody that they wanted me to marry. And at age 18, that's when I was married to this person. Very kind person, very kind, but I was unhappy within the marriage. And did decide to leave the marriage, but there was nowhere for me to go because I'd been raised in that community. That was the only community that I ever knew. So ended up with my 2 children, our little bags, and asked a man from a hotel if we could just spend spend a couple of nights there. He understood the situation and he allowed us to stay there. A long story short, I am now in a beautiful 7-bedroom home that I own, have my own mortgage on, and it's beautiful. It's like a dream house. If I was to show you pictures of it, people would be like, oh boy, not this room necessarily, but other rooms, be like, wow, it looks like something from a magazine. It really does. So yes, did I manifest that? And I did. I manifested it by taking the little steps that I was told to take through my own intuition along the way. So my intuition has always been my guide in life. So going homeless.
So I'm sorry for interrupting. I'm so interested in that intuition. Just like basically your intuition told you the next step and the next right step to do. Is that what you are saying here?
That is exactly it. So did it go from knowing what to do when I was homeless to, wow, you're going to get a 7-bedroom home? No, it didn't show that way. It was literally taking by the hand and baby stepping me along. And some of those baby steps required me to take very scary actions. So I was living over in the UK at the time, and then Spirit said, okay, it's time. Well, not Spirit, I actually had a very, very, very vivid dream where my grandmother came to me and she said, okay, it's time for you to move to Canada. And it was so incredibly vivid. She packed up my suitcase at the end of my bed and she says, you need to go now. And
oh my God, when you say it, I'm just having shivers, shivers on my skin.
That's it. And so in my dream, I was conversing with her and I was saying, well, I don't have money. I don't have a job. I've got nowhere to live. I don't know what I'm going to do. The children, I need the permission from their dad to move to a different country. How are we going to do this? And everything unfolded for me. And I made the move over here. And it was from moving over here and working here that I was then able, and it was baby steps to it. When I came into this house, it was out of my budget. It was out of a budget that I could potentially afford. But I stood downstairs and Spirit said to me, this is your house. And I was like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to do this. But Spirit's saying this is my house. So he said that to the realtor and he was able to make a deal with the sellers at the time who were desperate to sell. They'd got another house that was made for them. They were carrying another mortgage, didn't want to carry 2 mortgages. So they actually helped to fund me to get this house. So, it was so many little things along the way that...
Synchronicities, you mean, right?
Pardon?
It's just like synchronicities. When you start living with your intuition, it's kind of you step into that realm of synchronicities.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's one thing that was one of many. I would say my most recent, and it is a very, very beautiful story, is and it is tied to the tarot and being on social media. I had a message through Spirit or intuition that said to me, if you're invited to go on vacation, say yes. And I was like, well, that's a strange thing to say, but okay. And 2 days later, my sister who lives in the UK and my aunt invited me to go and stay with them. And it was in a little town that I had grown up in over there. And I hadn't been back to visit for almost 30 years. And I'd always said, if I ever went back there, then I would love to go visit the home that I was raised in over there. It has such lovely memories for me and I've always been very connected to it, and I've actually dreamt about it many, many times. So after arriving, actually within 2 or 3 hours of me arriving, the very first thing that I did was go and walk by the house to go see it. And my intention had been to go knock on the door and to say, I used to live here. Would it be okay? Would it be okay for me to take a peek? But I thought that might be a bit invasive. So, but almost every day I'd walk by it. But a week before I was to come back to Canada, Spirit said to me, if you don't do this now, you will really regret it and you will have missed a vital opportunity. So what I did instead is I wrote a little note and I popped it through the mailbox and I left my email address on there. And I said, I did grow up in this house, have very fond memories of it. If you would like to learn more about the people who used to own this house, then do feel free to email me. 2 days later, I got an email from somebody called Stephen who had purchased the house, and they said, do you know, and they said my mother's name, and I said, yes, of course, and that's my mother. And he said, well, that's who I bought the house off of, and I've lived in this house ever since and have raised my family here. And he said, would you like to come for tea on Sunday? Of course, I said yes. And I was very excited. I couldn't figure out why I was so excited. Yes, I was excited to see the house, but actually, for some reason, I was really excited to see Stephen, which made no sense to me at all. So I actually went out and I bought a brand new dress for it. And walking up the hill towards the house, it's a corner house. I was like, I was just so incredibly excited. The first words that Stephen said to me when he opened the door was, "Welcome home." I went in, and we are in a relationship now, and we have been.
Oh my God, I just wanted to say that. Isn't you're just like romantic partner? It's just like I was already predicting it when you were speaking the whole story.
Yeah.
Oh,
So that
it
is the
reminds
story.
me, it
Yeah.
reminds me truly how I got married actually to my husband. It was not meant to be. We were from different countries.
Yes.
I'm sorry for interrupting, but
Please,
I
I
have to
want to
say
know.
it.
I'd love to know.
So he's from Israel. I'm from Siberia initially. So, and I just like, I could never even think that I would meet a guy somewhere outside. It's not promising, you know? So,
Right.
and I remember how I went to Tony Robbins' event to Spain, and somehow I also had this internal voice like, go to the fountain. I just don't know why. And there was the fountain area, just go to the fountain. And there he was standing, but I even didn't approach him. I didn't even notice him. And another guy whom we were kind of friends at that moment there on the event, we already befriended each other at that moment. He introduced us, but it was so clear, go to to the fountain.
Wow.
And it's just so sticking to me, like what you said. And I was also very excited to go to the fountain.
So can you imagine if we hadn't listened to our intuition? Can you
Yes.
imagine if we hadn't? Those little tiny promptings that we're given, and you wonder to yourself, okay, is this my imagination, or is this like for real? But imagine if I hadn't gone to the UK, or I hadn't put the note through the door.
Oh, it's so true. I still remember how I went even to that event, and I just like I didn't know why I didn't go there. Something like was dragging me like this. Like, I just couldn't understand what it is, you know? So I
Exactly.
can connect it.
Exactly that. So manifesting, and I'd been by myself for 7 years at that point, and I was okay with it. I was perfectly fine to be okay. To me, I'd set my path that I was going to be on. I call it that my high priestess journey, where I was totally focused on my spiritual journey, and that was it. However, I had been told by Spirit, a few months prior, you've achieved all that you can achieve on your own now. How would you feel about being in a relationship? Which I was very reluctant to be in at that point, because I was actually very happy to be by myself. There's a different dynamic that comes in. There's different learning that you can experience through being in a partnership. And that was what Spirit wanted me to do next on my journey.
That's so true. That's so true. When you experience it on your own, it's
Yes.
one level of experiencing, right? But when you are in relationships, it's like everything is tripling. I don't know. It's like quintessence of everything. I can't
Absolutely.
explain it. The good and
Absolutely.
the bad.
Absolutely. So, and I was very strict with Spirit, or the universe, because the universe, they like to play practical jokes sometimes, right? So I was very strict. It was like, okay, it needs to be, if I need to be in a relationship with someone, then they need to have these qualities. And the universe brought a few people to me, and I was like, no, thank you. Like, no, thank you, but no, thank you, universe. I'm not willing to go down that road. Absolutely no. So I was very adamant, if I needed to be in a relationship with someone, it was not going to be a struggle. So
wait, did you have some kind of a list, like description of that perfect man for you?
So it was more so not a physical description. So it was more qualities of person. So it was interesting because the universe brought people to me, and I would be like, and I would never say this to them. I'd never say it to them, but to myself, and to Spirit, I'd be like, they're beautiful in this way, but you know what? If they don't have a job or something, then it's important for me that somebody has, is involved in their career and is very responsible and it just
wait. I am sorry, just I really want to understand the process. So you have the list of qualities, but let's say a lady right now or a guy, they are also struggling in relationships. And many times we sit with a blank page, we don't know what to write. How would you walk them through, our beautiful souls here who are listening to ours? How can you start this process?
Okay,
with a blank paper.
So this is what I do. I actually do have a journal as well that I write in, and I write in it every single day. Not so much for relationships now, but for other things that I'm pursuing. But back then, I would write in. So first of all, what you would want to do is you would want to figure out what is your dream reality and make that very, very clear. What is your desired outcome? So I would go there, figure out what the desired outcome is, and then work back the way. And you can change that. Often we think think that there's something that we want, and then when it's presented to us, you're like, actually, I forgot something. I should have put this in there as well, right? So you can change it anytime, but I would write out affirmations every single day. That it had already happened. So that I was in my dream relationship, that this person loved to be a provider, that they were in their masculine energy so that I could sit back and be in my feminine energy, that they would be kind, they'd be loving. We would also have the chemistry that, makes things so wonderful. All of these things. I wanted them to, I'm a very involved mum. Although my children are all adults, we all live in the same town. And I wanted somebody who would be understanding of that. And quite frankly, Stephen is identical to me in every way. People say when they see pictures of us, how similar. Yes, how similar we are in looks. But his children, they're adults, and they still live at home as well. And I can respect. So we have so many things that other people might have seen as issues, but we see them as being such beautiful. We just get each other completely. But yes, going back to the manifestation process, figuring out what your dream reality is a really, really important factor. Because if you don't have a clear idea of what it is that you're wanting, then, our thoughts are radio frequency. I mean, that our thoughts are creative power. And that's what we're constantly sending out to the universe. So if we don't know what we want, then heck, the universe is going to be pretty darn confused too, and very clear, concise messages. So, and it was interesting because my words would change over periods of time. So I started off by saying I am affirmations, and then to this point
Can you give us the examples?
So I would say, so I am in my desired relationship. I am adored. I'm treasured. I am, I'm well looked after. All of these, that's how we do it that way. But now I've changed it. And that is probably how many people will start out. I've progressed to, like, say, the other aspects that I'm looking at, because now, of course, that one's a done deal for me. It's
handled.
Yeah, that's handled. So now it's more business related for me and things that I would like to see within my business. So now I've changed the wording to be stronger wording. So I have decided that I have, and then fill in the blank. So I have decided I have 100,000 K followers on TikTok, or fill in the blank, whatever that may be. Yeah.
Thank you. So that's the magic behind your really beautiful TikTok channel. I can see that many already acknowledge that energy which is emanating from all your videos there. So it's part of that manifestation process, right?
It is. So when I read tarot, and I always knew that tarot was going to be the gateway for me to meet other people, and the clients that come to see me, I have a very deep bond with many of them. I get to know their stories very well. We quite often write back and forth outside of having readings. And quite often what I'm doing, I'm not just giving them a tarot reading, I'm also suggesting, okay, this is how you can manifest what it is that you want to manifest.
So you kind of like do that twist, manifestation, tarot, energy. You said that you are really good in energy sensing. I will not be surprised if you are doing some energy healings.
Of course, always.
Oh my gosh. So it's kind of like that whole complex system, but you provide it all at the same time to your clients. Do you understand? Right?
Wow. I believe that's what I feel. And the fact that I have so many repeats that come to see me, and a lot of them I feel come to see me because I'm very strong in what I believe. And if I believe what I'm saying when I'm reading the tarot, then sometimes they come in and lean on my faith to help them manifest. I feel like I assist others in their manifestations. Because like I say, when I believe in something or when I know something, I know it and I can't deny it. So if my client is saying something and I'm feeling it at the same time, then
So I'm really, really excited to understand one thing. So I have two questions for you here regarding the tarot topic. Yes. So first of all, what is tarot for you specifically? You told us that you are doing that twist, but what is tarot for you, if you would call it like in 2-3 words? And secondly, how do you actually do that manifestation with tarot?
So I see tarot as a manifestation tool. I absolutely see it as a manifestation tool. One of the biggest questions that I get frequently is people who love to read tarot for themselves, but they feel that they're seeing it in a very what would the word be? It's a very slanted way that they think that their perception of it is biased. They see it in a biased way, and I'm only reading it because it's biased. This is what I'm thinking. So what I say, go with that bias. Go with that bias rather than rejecting it. Lean into it.
Accept
it and lean into it and be like, okay, so the tarot is telling you this, and this, and you're thinking that you're only reading it that way because you're biased for that outcome. I'm like, that's exactly what you should be doing. Use it for your biased outcome. Use it for your highest potential. So I get very excited by it, and that is how I use my collective readings that I do on a daily basis. That is how I read tarot. It's
So
exactly how
can you give us the example? Let's say the person has a bias, right? Just some person, I don't know, you may give maybe example of one of your readings, like some general example. And then how do you overcome it? How do you go over it when you do that consultation with that twist to manifestation?
Okay. So I'd have to think of a question. Okay. A possible outcome. People often ask me, okay, what is a possible outcome for this? And of course, I always tell them that there are multiple outcomes that could potentially happen for them. Tarot, there's nothing in tarot that is set in stone because it's an energy-based reading. Therefore, it's going to fluctuate depending on your emotions, your mindset.
So true.
Yeah, your emotions, your mindset, your self-concept, your perception, and if you're in alignment or out of alignment with your soul's purpose. Those are the energies that the tarot is going to read from you. And so really the tarot itself, it shows you which path you're on right now, but that doesn't mean you have to stay on that path. If there's something within it that you don't enjoy, if that is not your desired outcome, then you have the power within you to go in and adjust those emotions, those mindsets, those self-concepts, the perception, and feel where you are either in alignment or out of alignment with your soul's purpose. So, and I will present it in just exactly that way. It'll be like, okay, this is the path that it looks like you're on currently right now, but it can change. You have the power to change this if you want it to. So that's how I would use it in manifestation.
I love it. I absolutely love it because you show them kind of like, this is the path if you abide to it, to your bias.
Yes.
But this is the path when you kind of like look at it from another angle perspective and the power is still in your hands.
Absolutely.
So I love it.
Always in their hands. Yes.
So speaking about you, I was just, when I was going through your profile, I saw that you had lots of twists throughout your life. And what really caught my attention is that despite the fact that you went through that not really so-called healthy beginning and you were not born with a silver spoon in your mouth, but you kind of like were overcoming it all by still being open to that voice. And what triggered me here is that my story as well. For me, it was a really tough pathway. I always had to battle, for example, in my case. Yes. But in your case, it seems like you were following that voice initially. And I was thinking, so where did she have that trust from?
I've always had it. I guess I was born with it. My mum used to say that we came from a very strong line of women, and it didn't matter what obstacles were put in our way, we would be able to. I've always had a positive mindset. I just always have. And so when I would look at certain, issues that were brought to me, I would always find myself thinking a way around it. How can I figure this out? But yes, trusting my voice. There have been times, I'll be honest, that I haven't listened to the voice inside, and those were the times when I was at my lowest. And it did, and I do believe that during my mid-20s to my 30s, a lot of that I call that my dark era, where I felt like I didn't have the guidance. I had cut it out, and it felt like I dropped fully immersed into 3D reality at that point. And then that's when I had to go through a massive heart awakening and Kundalini experience in 2015.
So you were kind of too much out of balance.
Very out of balance, yes.
Let me walk you through that, because some people still may listen to us who may be still there, or just, there is like this backslash there here and there. So what kind of advice you would give to those people, to those souls who go there, or just like they know that it is so great to be here in the center, but there is still that wiring in the brain which keeps you there. there, which gives you there, here and there, and you're not in the center. Like, what can, just based on your experience, because it seems like you've done it, and right now you are living a beautiful life, what can help those souls to kind of like bring them back to that center where everything is crystal clear?
Yes. So first of all, I would say it's an experience. It's an experience. And I looking back on it, I feel it was an experience that I really needed to have, or I certainly appreciate it now. I didn't appreciate it at the time, but it has made me a lot more empathic towards others, and completely non-judgmental. I made so many, if you want to, I'm going to call them experiences, but people outside would probably think of them as mistakes. So there's a lot of people in my family would probably look at me and like, wow, she's done everything wrong, you know, and potentially that could be the case. But because of that, that empathy that I have for others, that non-judgmental, I think that also, attracts a lot of people to me because of that. They know that it doesn't matter what they come to tell me, that I'm not going to be sitting there scolding or saying, oh, it shouldn't be like that, or no, I listen and I have empathy. But for those who are in it, there is light on the other side. It might be part of your soul journey. It might be part of your soul journey to experience it. So I had that. And then since then I have, even when I have been majorly awakened, I have also experienced deep, dark nights of the soul at times. And that was kind of going over things that I'd already healed. So I do believe it's part of a spiritual awakening to understand the entire spectrum. All of it.
It's very, very nice to hear someone who went through it. But what would you recommend just for those souls who are struggling, just to help them a bit in this process of struggle, because it's so hurting sometimes, because, you know, they keep going to those manifestation courses, keep listening to stuff, but then they keep failing because this thing in between the ears doesn't work, properly.
It is the mindset. Mindset is huge in regards to that. And often we've had patterns where things haven't worked out for us, and therefore we think it's going to continue on that way. Now, like I said, I've always had a very positive mindset. It's one of my strengths. So I don't know what the answer would be to those that, you know, are struggling and find it hard to have a positive mindset. I don't quite know the answer to that.
Let me ask your channel then, because I know that you're channeling. Can I ask that privilege for that one affirmation, which can be so like pure affirmation, which like helping those struggling souls? What can be the first thing which comes to you? Maybe it's the first, that thing which can actually they write down and keep writing down after this session, because I see that you have such a strong connection, and we have a beautiful opportunity here, guys, just to hear directly from Avalon and from her channel. And I think that can be a golden affirmation for you right now, for those who are struggling in between center and lack of center, right? Just come back. So if you could maybe, whatever comes to you right now, just share with us that golden affirmation for purity, for center, for just being in that abundance flow, because when we are in the abundance flow, everything comes into place.
Yes, it's so true. It's so true. So here's two pieces of information that have come through for me, ones that I have used. And one of them would be mirror work. Standing in front of a mirror and looking at yourself in the eyes and acknowledging where you are at this moment in time, and being very loving towards yourself is what I would say. I would also, with affirmations such as that, if it was something to do with relationships, then I would be looking in the mirror and saying, I am worthy of being loved. I am loved, cherished, and adored. If it's something to do with mindset, then it could be, I am shifting my mindset to one of positivity. The thing is you would have to use words that actually feel true to you, because there's no point in just mimicking and parroting what somebody else is saying just because they're saying it. It's got to come from within you. I don't believe in fake it till you make it. I know that's something that we have been, but honestly, words are so important. And if you're not aligned to them, you're going to be fighting with them.
Yes.
So you want to try and change your neural pathway. Now, one of the techniques that I used, and it did come to me when you were talking about that, I don't know if anyone has heard of EFT, or emotional freedom technique.
Oh, it works so wonderfully well for me also.
Yes, me too. So I had some, there was a point in my life where I really needed to see a counselor, and there was no regular counselors available, but I needed to see one like yesterday type of thing. The only one that I could find was someone that said they did EFT, and I had no idea what EFT was, but it is tapping on meridian points on your body. And I'll be honest, I thought it was absolutely, completely woo-woo. But I was so desperate to see somebody that I decided that I would take that appointment. And I can tell you it was completely life-changing for me. And so again, if it was something to do with mindset, then I would probably go through the meridian points and I'd be like, I am choosing to shift my mindset. I am choosing to shift my mindset. And I would go through all the points in the body and I would work with that and then watch and see what words come up for you. And then I would start adding those to this. So this is going to change your neural pathway within your brain, and it helps to assist you in manifesting so much quicker. So if you're really, really struggling, that is one tip I would give you.
Yes, I really, really love it. Just coming back to your story as well, I was experiencing also like lots of tremors in my childhood and everything. And in fact, that was a cool supporting tool along the way. I did lots of tools, of course, but
Yes.
that's a really great supporting tool. And I still up to now, I'm very grateful that it was introduced to me as well. It was out of the blue. I don't even remember how I bumped into it, but I was continuously asking for solutions and they were coming to me all the time. And now the Miro technique, it also, I remember how it worked miraculously well for me, why I want just to step in and give my story so that all of us like who are listening right now, all of these beautiful souls, they would just see both sides, right? How it works, because we actually learn that way. Yes. When we see more and more confirmations of the same thing. So for me, I remember I had so many traumas from my childhood. Like my father was an alcoholic, like really heavy stagers. And my mom was extremely abusive. Like she had like physically, psychologically, everything was there. It's not just like she was screaming when my ice cream was falling down. That was not the case. I would better not go to the details, but it was much more severe. So just to give you the perspective. And when I went out of that, I had to deal with this, just really deal with this stuff.
Yes.
And I remember just after so many years of that struggling, lots of anxiety, OCD, deep depression, you know, all this stuff was like a beautiful combination. So I remember one of the tools which I heard from Louisa Hay, like she was amazing soul.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure you know, right? So she said, come to the Miro, and she has the whole Miro workbook or something. And she said, just come there and say, I love you and I full approve of you. When I said those words, I was screaming like hell for a day from pain. When I looked at my eyes, it was not just like, it was like with scream, with everything, because there was so much there, like of pain. I couldn't just even cry calmly. Can you imagine?
It's very intense, and a lot of people don't, they are resistant to doing it because of the reaction. Many people do not look in their own eyes.
Yeah,
they may look.
It is actually a working tool,
but they often don't actually look into their very soul.
Yes, it's actually so easy to read the soul of people through the eyes. Nothing can be hidden. Just nothing can be hidden. So it's really amazing, because I think we are like, it's interesting how you mentioned that you were considering yourself like high priestess, priestess, that strong connection to intuition, right?
Very much so.
And guys here, they are slightly limited in that, because we are women, we are more connected and given that gift initially. We want it or not, we are given that gift. We have to live with this.
Yes.
Yeah, my husband sometimes asks me, how do you read people? How do you actually? Just like, honey, every woman reads people, you know? It's just like, we have that internal intuition here.
Exactly.
I'm not that special. So yeah, I wanted to ask you, by the way, which card of the major arcana right now draws most of your attention? I mean, to which you are clinging to most?
Yes, it's really interesting, because I'm actually teaching a tarot class right now, and that was the question. It's a beginner's tarot class, and that's what I had them do. I had everybody pick out their very favorite card, and it will change throughout time, but currently mine is the Star. For many years it was the Empress, then it was the High Priestess, but currently right now it's the Star.
Why the Star?
Why the Star? Very, very healing. I think it reflects what it is that I am trying to do business related. I'm trying to, so for the longest time I've known that I had gifts. Like many of us, we have gifts, but sometimes we don't always want to share them with others, or we feel like if we put ourselves out there, then we're opening ourselves up to all sorts of criticism, or, you know, so it can sometimes be scary to share a gift. So, but now I've really got to the point where it's like, no, actually, I have this, and why not share? So the star card is very much about the healing of that. It's talking about your dreams, your goals, your visions, your desires, being a light to others. So I think that's why I'm currently drawn to it the most.
I love it. It's just like I'm trying to search for these cards, just look at it while you are
Maybe.
talking, because I love to when someone, especially like experienced as you, like talking about it and just to look at symbolism at the same time.
Yes.
So what's next in your spiritual journey, you think?
What is next on my spiritual journey? Well, continuing to manifest certain things with my business. As far as relationship goes, Stephen has asked me to marry him, so we will be getting married.
Oh my God, congratulations.
And manifestation process with that is we will be buying, although he still lives in my childhood home, we're actually going to be buying another home to share together. So a lot of manifesting with this. And yeah, with the spiritual journey, always ever evolving. And you know, sometimes I'm led to, well, I always led to different aspects of spirituality and searching a little bit deeper into those. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm up to right now. And how about for you?
Oh my God, that's a really good question. So right now, I think for me, it's all about not me. I'm feeling I lost everything about me at this moment. And all what I'm doing is kind of serving, in fact. Even like I had the vision board, honestly, for a while, but I started feeling like it doesn't work for me not from the perspective of manifestations, but just like it just doesn't work for me. It's just there needs to be something else. And I started really heavily meditating. And right now I'm super addictive to that. I have a new addiction. Like I meditate 2-3 hours per day. It's a true story. It's just, you told me that you meditate as well, so you probably can connect to it.
Every day. So my guides told me to learn to meditate, and I was like, how am I going to do that? How do you meditate? And so they were like, we'll show you. So meditation for me is, you know, I know we're often told that it's kind of sitting in silence and blanking your mind. My spirits told me to do the opposite. My spirits told me to allow myself to go wherever it was guided. And so for me, I got a lot of visions, a lot of downloads of information. One of the things that I experienced, and I do have to watch the time because I actually do have a reading that I've got to do at 3:00. But one of the things that I noticed when we talk about guides and spirit guides was it was actually other versions of me that were coming back to teach me. It was very, very interesting. So connecting with my other selves and learning through them. So huge manifestation was something that I could do for hours and hours and hours and connect to other versions of myself, what's going on in all sorts of realms, dimensions, timelines. Timelines is a huge thing for me as well.
Alrighty. Thank you so much, Evelyn. It was so amazing. Honestly, I learned a ton for myself, and I hope it brought tremendous value for all the souls, all the beautiful souls who were listening to us. So I will share all the links about you in case if everyone would want to know more story about you below this video. Thank you again, and wishing you a tremendously wonderful journey in your business and your family life.
Oh, thank you so much, Yulia, for inviting me. It was an absolute pleasure to talk with you.